Move to China, y'all. Do it. It is so fun here. It's so amazing. My family and I, we just moved. We've been here 1 week. Best decision we've ever made. So many of my worries and cares that I had in the US just gone overnight. It is just so fun here. Every day feels like an adventure. We just pick a random street, go check it out. Restaurants, new restaurants with delicious food. There's a mall, it seems like, on every corner.
So this is part 2 of I'm moving to China. Chinese people, I love you guys. Like, love. Like, we need to be best friends.
I moved from America to Shanghai, China with my dog, and a question that I get asked a lot is, how dog-friendly is Shanghai? Before we moved here, I was doing a ton of research, and it seemed like Shanghai was described as the most dog-friendly city in China. So let's talk about what our experience has been.
I moved out of the US 5 months ago, and it was the best decision I've ever made. I was living in New York City, and then I accepted a job in Beijing and moved in February. It's been absolutely life-changing, absolutely life-changing. Since I left, I had American blindfolds on, and now being out of America, they're completely removed. I've realized so much being out of the States that the way that Americans live is not normal.
My husband and I moved to China, and a lot of people ask us why. So here are 5 reasons why we moved to China. Number 1, we're both adventurous people, and we love our lives in Toronto, but we like to do things that challenge us, and we were looking for a change. Reason number 2, we both really like traveling, and living in Asia just gives us more opportunities to travel. Living in Canada, it's pretty hard to travel anywhere other than the US or within Canada.
What if everything you've been told about America being the greatest country on earth was a lie? What if the real American dream now lives in China? Thousands of Americans are quietly moving across the world, and when they get there, they say the same thing. I wish I had come sooner.
Move to China, y'all. Do it. It is so fun here. It's so amazing. My family and I, we just moved. We've been here 1 week. Best decision we've ever made. So many of my worries and cares that I had in the US just gone overnight. It is just so fun here. Every day feels like an adventure. We just pick a random street, go check it out. Restaurants, new restaurants with delicious food. There's a mall, it seems like, on every corner. And it is so safe. Now, that's not to say there's not some drawbacks, but they are far outweighed by the positives. Good food, nice people, adventure, fun, novelty. I love it. I'm teaching English. That's probably the easiest way. There's other ways, but that's what I did. On a teacher's salary here in America as a foreigner, we can live very comfortably. Our apartment is like $450 a month, and food costs next to nothing a lot of these places. And I love that my son can learn Chinese. I'm trying to learn Chinese. It feels like I'm living life rather than life just living me, rather than just getting stuck in the same rut, doing everything everyone else does around you. And I just love that. I love that feeling.
China has to be one of the most peaceful countries to live in. Let me give you one example. I'm riding to the gym today with no headphones on. Probably one of the first times I've done this. I'm riding to the gym, no headphones on. I'm taking in all the scenery. I'm like, why isn't there any noise? I can't hear nothing. It's like I'm literally riding through a library. Everybody's minding their own business. All the cars are electric, so they're not making noise. The buildings aren't loud like you hear in New York. I'm just legit riding my bike, peaceful as can be. No one's talking, no one's screaming. And it just made me realize today, like, how peaceful life is over here. I just tried to make a video about this 5 minutes ago, and TikTok didn't let me save it, so here I'm gonna try it again. But I think nowadays, China's getting put on the map more than ever. We've always heard China has been super futuristic, super clean. You know, we've always heard these good things about it. But as of lately, as more and more influencers are coming here, they're showing you what China is truly like. And it's amazing. Like, I'm a living testimony of what life is actually like out here, right? I'll post what life is here. I won't sugarcoat it. I won't fake things. I'll show you how it actually is. And I love it. I don't plan to move back to the States. My boys ask me all the time, yo, when are you coming back? Bro, this and that. I'm like, bro, I'm staying over here as long as I can. I love it here. But aside from chasing the American dream that the whole world is infatuated with, China has the schools. China has cleanliness, the safety, the futuristic technology. Everything is here. And it's been underrated for so many years, but now I think people are starting to wake up. The world is starting to realize, wow, China is the place to live. It's the place to be. It's the place to visit. And you've seen it all over my TikTok, all over my For You page, is people coming to China and experiencing life out here. It just sucks it's taken this long because I've realized it for a while now. I just actually haven't made the move out here up until recently. I don't know if this is just a Western thing or if it's like a universal thing, but as humans, when you grow up in a certain country, you almost feel the need to live there your entire life. And that's far from the truth, because when I came to China and I realized you can have a life internationally, I was shook. And I'm an advocate to anybody who's grown up in their country their entire life, try it overseas. Yes, I know it's very hard. It's super, super hard. There's a lot of intangibles that need to happen in order for you to live overseas. I get that. But if you can make it happen, I promise you, you're not going to regret it. But seriously, as humans, we need to get out of that way of thinking of living and staying in the country that we've always grown up in, because the world is much bigger than that. And I advocate for coming to China because I love China so much, and life is good over here, you know? But that's it. I just want you guys to know that. I love you guys. Be safe. Peace.
There is a silent shift happening, one that the Western media rarely talks about. More Americans are leaving the United States and building new lives in China. And these aren't just tourists or students. These are families, professionals, retirees, and even entrepreneurs who once believed America was the ultimate destination. They describe something almost unbelievable, a sense of stability, safety, and progress they hadn't felt in years. I remember speaking with a man from Texas who taught English abroad. He planned to stay in China for 1 year. It's been 12. He told me that for the first time in his life, he could afford healthcare, housing, transportation, and actually save money. He said, "Back home, I worked 50 hours a week just to survive. Here, I work 35 and actually get to live." The move is not just about money, it's about quality of life. And that's something many Americans are realizing they never actually had.
People have been asking me how I came to China and my journey here. So I've lived in America my whole life, and I've been a teacher my whole life, and the last few years have been a struggle. I raised 2 kids on my own. Like I said, I taught, but I always had to have more than one job, and I was just like on the struggle bus. And I got this opportunity to teach in China, and to be honest, I was very scared of China. I thought it was going to be like polluted and very busy, and you know, cameras looking and watching at everything I do. So I was very hesitant. So I just listened to my heart, my gut, and because this job like really landed on my lap, I felt like this is where I was being guided to. And I took a freaking huge leap of faith, and I gave up everything. I left my kids. I mean, they're adults, so they're fine. I left my home, I left my cats, I left my family, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go try this out. And I can't even tell you what an amazing experience this has all been. Like, China is safe and peaceful, and everyone's friendly, and yeah, I don't quite understand what everyone's saying to me, but I'm figuring it out. I just didn't want to be on the struggle bus anymore, and here I am making good money. I get to travel. I'm meeting people from all over the world. I'm teaching in an environment where kids and parents and everyone respects me, and I'm able to be creative. And my teaching, I can teach kind of what I want to teach. And yeah, so I would just say follow your heart, follow your guides, follow your intuition, and don't be afraid to take a risk, because there are greater horizons out there for you.
My husband and I moved to China, and a lot of people ask us why. So here are 5 reasons why we moved to China. Number 1, we're both adventurous people, and we love our lives in Toronto, but we like to do things that challenge us, and we were looking for a change. Reason number 2, we both really like traveling, and living in Asia just gives us more opportunities to travel. Living in Canada, it's pretty hard to travel anywhere other than the US or within Canada. I mean, even traveling within Canada is difficult. So yeah, we can easily do like a weekend trip here in China. Reason number 3, we can save money in China. Whereas in Canada, the cost of living, especially in Toronto, is very high. So yeah, we're just able to save a lot more money here and put money towards our future goals. Reason number 4, we chose China specifically because we've actually already lived and worked in China before. I was here for 3 years. Brendan was here for 4 years back in 2015. And yeah, it's always felt like a second home to us. We've already experienced it before. It doesn't feel so foreign to us. We feel comfortable here and we love it here. So we wanted to return to it. Reason number 5, 我们想学习中文. We want to study Mandarin, so what better way than fully immersing ourselves in it? Toronto will always be home. We are so fortunate to have family, friends, and a beautiful city that we love to return to. But yeah, life kind of gets in a routine and your days start to look the same. And yeah, we just wanted something to spice up our lives. So what better way to do that than to move to the other side of the world? So that's why we're here in China.
Millions in the West are beginning to question the idea of the American dream. The dream promised that anyone who worked hard could succeed. But today, Americans work harder than any other developed nation, and yet they are deeper in debt, more stressed, and less satisfied. Meanwhile, China, once seen as developing, has built a system where modern life is not a luxury, but a standard. Affordable healthcare, efficient public transportation, cities designed for people, not cars, food delivery in under 15 minutes, rent that doesn't swallow half your paycheck. People don't move to China because it's perfect. They move because the baseline standard of living is simply more humane. Things just work. And that alone is shocking for many Americans who grew up believing their country was the peak of innovation.
I moved out of the US 5 months ago, and it was the best decision I've ever made. I was living in New York City, and then I accepted a job in Beijing and moved in February. It's been absolutely life-changing, absolutely life-changing. Since I left, I had like American blindfolds on, and now being out of America, they're completely removed. I've realized so much being out of the States that the way that Americans live is not normal. The way that politicians are enacting laws and speaking to people and detaining people and shooting people, like, that's not normal. People don't live like that. And I think people of my generation and the generation below me have gotten so used to absorbing news like that of mass shootings and crime and hate crimes and these crazy laws that are stripping away their rights, that we're just kind of like, oh, that's just how it is. Like, this is normal. It's not. It's not. I walk around outside alone at night, and I've never once feared for my life here. I've never once experienced hate crime. I've never once witnessed hate crime. I've never once witnessed racism here in China. Some countries are worse than others, and I do know that there's a lot of countries that they have their issues, and there are racist people around the world and hate crime around the world. I do understand. But the way that America is set up, it's kind of like we're conditioned to just learn that this is just the normal way of life, and they're almost enabling it through the laws that they're passing and the rights that they're taking away. Needless to say, never been more stress-free living out of the States, saving so much money here. I'm traveling so much more. I'm meeting so many more people. I have the best community around me. I have the best job. I'm able to go to work and then go out for dinner and travel to another country that weekend and come back and work again. Like, I've never been able to experience as much life as I am in these past 6 months than the first 25 years of my life. I can't express, like, you don't realize it until you leave. You do not realize how much you've missed out and how much you've been just tolerating until you leave. I'm very blessed, and the job that I accepted here helps me move, and they help with my living accommodation. And regardless, there's so many jobs that are hiring English teachers, translators. It's so possible, and it's so easy. I don't like how people are throwing their negativity out and saying, oh, well, it's too difficult, it's too expensive. It's not. Do your research. There's ways to do it. I would love to answer any questions that anyone has about moving or the visa process or what jobs are out here or what the price of rent is. Like, I don't know everything because my situation is really specific, but I do know basic stuff here, and I would love to learn more and research more. So if you do have any questions, I would love to answer. I just do want you to know that it's so worth it. It's absolutely so worth it. Leave the country. Leave the country.
I'm gonna give y'all the real on how it is as a black man living in China as I am right now. Yes, as a black person and a darker skinned person, you're going to be, different here, which is okay. There's really no problem in that because the Chinese people don't have no problem with that. To be honest, through my experience and other people that I know, their experiences is they really don't care. Like, most Chinese people here just go about their business. They just go about what they have to do. They're not really worried about foreigners as much, but they still treat you with respect and good manners. And this is from my experience living in a tier 2 city. So they really don't see foreigners like that. So if they're not really tripping, they're not racist, especially in the bigger cities like a Shanghai or a Guangzhou, they're not going to trip either because they are way more used to seeing foreigners in those, huge cities. So yeah, are there going to be some racist people? That's everywhere around the world, and you can't avoid that. But overall, China is a very good experience when it comes to a black person or a person of color coming from someone that's been here for about 3 years. And this is coming from someone that's lived in China for almost 3 years.
Hi, I'm an American who moved to China, and I'm documenting my first 30 days in Beijing. So one of my all-time favorite things are these bikes. You can find them anywhere, and all you do is you take your phone. There's like 3 apps that aren't even related to the phone. They're just like apps you use for other things like takeout or Alipay, which is used for like a lot of services here. That's how I pay my utilities for everyone that's been asking. But yeah, so you find the bikes wherever, and then you can leave them wherever, and it never costs more than a couple kwai, which is like less than $1 to go an hour, 2 hours. I know a lot of other cities in Europe or the US have these, but they typically, like in New York City, you can spend $20 on a city bike very quickly. And also you can only like dock them in certain places. I still love that culture, but it's just way more affordable here and super, super convenient with like where you can drop them and how easy it is to rent them.
One of the most shocking things Americans notice after moving to China is how safe it is. You can walk alone at midnight, leave your phone on a cafe table without fear, and children play outside for hours without supervision. This is something almost unimaginable in many American neighborhoods today. I once heard a woman from Chicago say, "In China, I stopped looking over my shoulder. I didn't realize how exhausting that habit was until it disappeared." Safety is not just a statistic, it shapes your entire mental state. When you don't feel afraid, your life expands. Your world gets bigger. You breathe deeper. You live differently. And that sense of peace is priceless.
I moved from America to Shanghai, China with my dog, and a question that I get asked a lot is how dog-friendly is Shanghai? Before we moved here, I was doing a ton of research, and it seemed like Shanghai was described as the most dog-friendly city in China. So let's talk about what our experience has been. It's really interesting because my dog Scout here, she's a blue heeler, and she's considered a large dog in Shanghai, whereas in America, she's more of a medium-sized dog. She's probably like 35 pounds. It's much more common to see smaller breeds, which I think is what makes Scout look so big in comparison, but I do see a lot of larger breeds like Labs, and one of the most popular dog breeds here is the Border Collie, surprisingly. There are a lot of parks or green areas in Shanghai. However, a lot of these parks do not allow dogs, and they will even have a Baoan standing out front who will not let you go in. This is a tiny bit frustrating because there is a really nice park right down the street from where we live, but unfortunately, no dogs are allowed. With that being said, we just moved to the Jing'an area, and there are a lot of restaurants and bars or cafes that you can bring your dog into. There are signs that say pet friendly. There also are quite a few pet friendly malls, which is really cool, but I think I'm somebody who would rather more green spaces than like malls or cafes, you know? There is a pretty big dog community here. I'm even a part of a WeChat group of like 400 people that get all their dogs together. I think a popular spot for dogs is around the West Bund area. Another thing I find interesting, and maybe this is just a difference in culture here, from where I come from in Colorado, it is like the most dog-friendly place ever. Random strangers will come up to you all the time and say, "Can I pet your dog?" But in China, there have been many instances where people will see Scout, and this is typically the older generation as well, and they will cross the street or just try to avoid us and look pretty scared. I've had a few instances where a younger child will see Scout and start screaming and kind of freaking out because they're afraid. I do not take this personally, and I just say, biapa, don't be afraid. So I don't know if this is because she is kind of a bigger dog or a breed that people haven't seen before. I saw some discourse on Xiaohongshu, the Chinese social media, about people saying, "I'm not afraid of being bit by a dog, but I am afraid of the pain that comes from a rabies shot." If they did get bit. So I think people just like to be more than careful, especially if there are children or elderly people around. I feel like people would try to avoid our dog more in Pudong rather than Puxi. We've had a lot of people come up to us with their dog, or kids come up and they want to pet Scout. Overall, I think raising a dog in Shanghai is totally doable. We don't regret a single thing about moving here. There are still plenty of green spaces we've been able to find, and having our dog here is a great conversation starter. A lot of people will smile at our dog or just kind of be curious. So I've been able to practice our Chinese, like I'll say, "Ni Xuan wo de gogoma," and people will be like, "Oh yeah," and we get to talk. I'll end with this. If you are somebody who wants to move to Shanghai and you have a dog, I recommend that you check out areas in Puxi rather than Pudong because it seems to be more dog friendly and there's a bigger dog community.
It is beautiful and difficult and not at all what you expected. When we first got off the plane in China, I'm an American who doesn't speak Chinese, and I'm coming into these people's home. I can't communicate with them. They have to do everything for me. I was like a baby. I can't do anything. So I was expecting to not be treated very well, but to be able to handle it. Like, I got pretty thick skin. I wasn't worried. And we experienced the exact opposite. Every time we had an issue, people were extremely hospitable and kind and supportive. We don't speak the language. We don't read the language. We don't even know how to put the characters on our phone. And people have supported us with all of that. We go to a Chinese school once a week. Mary and I go once a week. It's been an amazing cultural experience. I've never been able to learn languages, but now that I'm living in the culture, I'm learning it. Hangzhou is a massive city. It's 8.5 million people, and it's still technically a tier 2 city. So one of the biggest experiences we had in the first 6 months is just the scope of China. The incredible size. Like, we live in a compound, like that's the building right next to us. There are 15 buildings on this compound. It's the size of about an average American block, like in the suburbs. And there's probably 10,000 people that live here. There's a grocery store right downstairs. There's a pharmacy right downstairs. Everything you could ever need without thinking about like recreation, like going to do fun things, are within probably 5 kilometers of our apartment. The cost of living is very low. The difficulty with not knowing Chinese is the hardest part. The culture shock has been extremely intense. It was really, really very scary when we first got here, but yeah, China is not at all what you see in the American media. Our experience hasn't been close to what we expected. It's difficult, it's beautiful, it's worth it. Yeah, but more people should experience China.
There is a reason why Americans describe China as living in the future. Everyday life is integrated with technology to make things efficient, fast, and seamless. Paying rent, hospital appointments, grocery deliveries, public bike rentals, all done in seconds on one app. Meanwhile, Americans still write checks, wait in long lines for medical appointments, and drive cars everywhere because there are no robust transit systems. This isn't about luxury. It's about designing society around human needs. China has done that. America hasn't.
Guys, so this is why I went to China at 16 years old by myself. So I had the opportunity to either go to France, Spain, Italy, or China. And at the time, so many people were saying Chinese is the hardest language to learn, all the tones, the characters. I mean, it's impossible to learn this language. I've always been super competitive, and I was like, oh wait, if this is the hardest language to learn, I need to be an American who knows about Chinese. So I go over to China, and when I first get there, I don't know anything, okay? And I go over to school year abroad, shout out to school year abroad. I was taking intensive Mandarin, but I realized that that wasn't enough for me to learn, right? You have to be out there and talking to people. So I go, there was a fruit stand across the street from my host family's house, and every single night, for 2 hours after school, I would go and I would chill outside with them. And I was making friends with the people in the neighborhood. I was getting to know them as a family, and I would sit outside. We'd be eating zongzi, which are these like rice, I don't know, like a rice dish, okay? And I would eat this outside, and I got to know everybody in the neighborhood. I got to know this whole family, and it really improved my Chinese. So then I was like AP Chinese 3. You know, I could speak, I wasn't fluent, but that's how I got started, and that's how it started to get decent. Another motivation, though, was that coming from New York, so I'm from New York, and I grew up in Queens, and there was always this huge Chinese population and Flushing, and then, you know, just in other pockets of Queens. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is a subset of our city that most people don't really engage with. People will eat Chinese food, of like the takeout Chinese food up the street, but most people can't tell you the first thing about China. So I think seeing that at like 15, 16 years old, plus hearing that Chinese was the hardest language, I thought I should go over and just start to make assumptions and learn for myself. So I think in a lot of ways it was a very honest effort of just being like, let me go over and just experience the world. At the time too, though, China started coming up in the headlines a lot. I was like, China, what's China doing? So it kind of hit at the right time, which was curious about the language. I'm curious about China as a whole and how does this population fit into New York? And then I felt it was going to be an important country to know. And when I went over, guys, to China, it was the most incredible experience I've had, which I can definitely do in more videos. But all I'll say is anytime I meet somebody from China, or I meet people who have the China experience, it's like I know them already, you know? It's like you adventured to China, and that's a mindset that I can boogie with. But yeah, then I went over at 18 to NYU Shanghai, so New York University Shanghai, and I continued taking Mandarin. But for me, it was like, let me just kill two birds with one stone. Like, if I'm gonna get my courses, like if I need the American degree, I might as well do this in China. So the moment I heard about NYU Shanghai, I was there, and it was perfect, right? I'm sitting over in the middle of China. COVID hit midway through, but yeah, I went over. So that's my story, how I got to China. I love answering these questions, so let me know down below anything else you want to know, and more to come.
Well, people always ask me, Max, what is it like living in Beijing? Why do you live in China? Isn't it so much better to live somewhere in the West where you speak a common language and you have a better sense of things going on? So I thought I'd just allow you to join me on a short walk here while I talk a little bit about my experience and why I continue year after year for 5 or 6 years now to live in Beijing. And it's really not that complicated. I'll not get hit by a bus here. It's really not that complicated. The reality is that the quality of life that I'm afforded living here far surpasses anything that I would get comparably in the United States. And there's a variety of reasons for that. But, well, reasons only matter so much. The result is what matters. I work, like, generously, on the high end, I work maybe 10 days a month. Probably less, probably more like 5 most of the time. And that's enough for me to pay all my bills. That's enough for me to pay for all of my food, because, of course, I order delivery or eat out for every single meal. I don't cook. That allows me to pay for my rent in my apartment, which isn't like stellar, but it's nice enough. Anytime I go anywhere, I take a taxi cab, and it allows me to pay for that. And of course, I have an IE, or a maid, who comes once a week and cleans my apartment, does my laundry, irons my shirts, etc., etc. So, I mean, more than anything else, I do it because I'm afforded such an excellent quality of life. How much money do you have to make in the United States to eat out for every meal, or take a taxi for every trip, or have a maid? And even if you are making that money, you're probably working more than 5 days a month. You're probably working full time. So, really, in the end, it's economic. The opportunities are plentiful. The people are kind. There's great chances to go around and see interesting things. Public transit's great. The high-speed rail, airlines, all very affordable. And really, you just get to have a nice time. I mean, you know, if you come as a teacher, you'll get some of these benefits. You'll be able to afford the meals and everything. But the problem with coming as a teacher is that usually it's like a 40-hour work week. You work 5 days. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You'll still be living better than if you were in the States, unless you have like a really high-paying job. So, I don't know. It's just the simplicity of it, the comfort of it. I buy luxuries. I go to interesting events. In a few days, I'm going to be attending a gala on the Great Wall of China. I'm actually walking back from my tailor right now. I picked up my tuxedo, custom-made tuxedo, for a gala on the Great Wall. I mean, come on. What do you think you'd have to do in the United States to attend something like that? You know, whatever the equivalent would be, a gala at Mount Rushmore. You'd have to be friends with the governor of the Dakotas, North Dakota, South Dakota, whichever Dakota. Here, you don't need to be. I have some friends who work in, I think it's the Australian Chamber of Commerce, and they got me an invite. There you go. It's that easy. So people always ask me why I do the things I do and why I continue to live here. Really, that's my reason. I can't see myself changing unless circumstances conspire to either make it unaffordable or to otherwise damage or harm the quality of life that I've sort of come to enjoy and suspect while living here. I don't know. We'll see. Prices are low. Life is easy. Hard to argue with that.
Almost every American who has lived in China long enough says the same sentence. I didn't know life could be like this. Not stressful. Not exhausting. Not survival mode. Just life. They talk about the community, the calm mornings, the affordable living, the stability, the pace. And they realize something painful. They were never actually living the American dream. They were chasing it. And it kept running.
So this is part 2 of I'm moving to China. Chinese people, I love you guys. Like, love. Like, we need to be best friends. I am crying at your comments. I went ahead and translated them. So I have to share some of my favorites. Here we go. An American told me he can only eat 1 meal a day. Stop it, stop it, stop it. This is modern slavery. You have to pay for an American ambulance. What should I do if I have no money? If it's an emergency and you're going to die without treatment and you don't have money, will the ambulance save you? I thought I knew America. I can't believe people have to work 2 jobs. This one. America realizes they're eating like their healthcare is free. Shots fired. Is this a school? Oh my God, you guys are so dark. So dark. We saw a video of a homeless guy hurting people on the subway while shirtless and asked if it was real. Yes, it is. What is a social credit system? I just had to Google and said it's a system in China. I've never heard of such a thing. Everything you said is true, and we have no forced child labor, no concentration camps, and you are not under surveillance. My US pen pal just showed me her medicine cabinet. I feel like they're ruining your body. My new friends in Canada also asked me about the social credit system. Never heard of it. When we own a home, we don't pay property taxes. America is the real slum country. When I went there are so many homeless slums, people, and garbage everywhere. When you find out the Chinese college tuition and interest-free loans compared to American loans and tuition, you will lose sleep. Now we're talking about the dating. Here we go. I saw a video of how women don't want to marry the men. The men are violent and frustrated as a result. The grass really isn't greener on the other side. Marry a Chinese man. They're romantic, pay for everything, cook, clean, care for the kids, support your education, lowest divorce rate, and financially stable. We just get a like you up text in this country, and they want to split the bill here. So, yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. We even got Pakistan in the house. So he goes, I'm from Pakistan, a third world country, and I'm shocked by the way you guys are living. It makes my own country feel like heaven. I can't believe how outrageous your college loans are. I pay 520 yen, $71 US for my 1,800 square foot room. They do public clean, repair something, safeguard, plant, and garden. Electric is 200 yen, and the internet and cell phone is also 200 yen. That's the equivalent of 1.28 US dollars. Okay. Look up Chinese food in the hospital for pregnant women. You'll be shocked. It's like a 5-star cuisine. In my hometown, I can call my doctor to my home, and it cost me just $30. Your government is good at brainwashing its people to think they're the best in the world. America is a third world country. I am Chinese, and I just read the book Animal Farm. It is the United States right now. The US government is covering up the truth and imprisoning Americans. In China, we don't pay a hidden 3 to 5% tax fee on every card purchase like the US. Your bankers take hundreds of billions of dollars from you annually. Bet you didn't know that. Even your $100 hospital stay will be reimbursed if you have insurance. You've been torn apart by gender, race, and other issues without uniting in resistance. American culture shock is so adorable. You guys should leave more. We should. And my favorite, I love your TikTok. It finally made US citizens open their eyes. We have high life quality, cheap and healthy food, high technology, culture, friendly, and there's kindness everywhere. I love this movement. Let's keep this movement going. I am living for this right now.
This isn't a call to move to China permanently. It's a call to step outside the borders of your assumptions, to see life from another angle, to experience a world built differently. Some Americans come back. Some stay. But all of them return with the same realization. Life doesn't have to be hard to be meaningful. And sometimes, the dream we chase is waiting for us, somewhere else.